Hey guys, I'm back. This has been a challenge. So I've played a fair number of games. I think I'm learning a little bit, and I will share with you what that is. So for starters, I am trying as hard as I can to reduce the number of games I play. I feel that oftentimes I get into a groove where I kind of get addicted to playing, and I will go on a slide and I will just slide, slide, slide. So I'll drop 100 points, in a string of games. So play fewer games as well as don't play chess.com on my phone because it is just not the right format to be thoughtful about playing. And as I get into the middle game and end game, I tend to be less thoughtful. So for now, until I get better, I'm trying my best to not play on the phone, play online from my computer, and do it at a time and place, a time and space where I have, the ability to kind of patiently work through the moves. So I think that's number one, and I think it's the most critical piece to getting me into 1100, 1200 on my journey to 1500. So earlier, maybe Friday, I was able to break 1,000 again, got up to about 1,015 and remained there. So if we look at my games over here, I got up, let's see here, 1,015, 1,007, 1,015, 1,007. So I kind of hung out there and was feeling, large and in charge. But yesterday I came in and I dropped from 1006 to 965. So I just dropped a number of games. I do appreciate people making comments, particularly people who are good at chess and share, observations and thoughts. And I will do my best to incorporate those thoughts where they seem relevant. So one of those suggestions came, which was don't bring the queen out early. And that was from, who's that from? Bobby. So thank you very much. It makes a lot of sense. She blocks my players. She's really can't do much on her own unless it's a silly trick like trying to do a scholar's mate. But once you get up to this level, that just really doesn't work immediately. So, and then finally on taking the queen out early, clearly she encourages development from the other team. It's like free tempo. They just got to keep bringing pieces out while I'm trying to protect my queen. So I'm going to do my best not to bring her out. I understand that's not always possible, but we're going to do our best. So we're going to take a look at my last game, and it was frustrating. So I played ATO 608. So let's see how we did here. I didn't pre-record these moves. I did also get a tip. I couldn't find the comment again, but someone suggested I put a speak into. So I've done that. It's going to add a second to my thoughts, but I think it's going to do a better job at collecting my thoughts. I don't know. I feel pretty good about this, right? So I own the center. I'm not ready to castle. They're ready to castle. Let's see how this goes for me. Okay, this is fine. I'm at move 9 here, and my coach has not seen anything. I just did do a feature upgrade, so hopefully my coach is still working. Okay, so
Right key moment, move 11 is white. What are you thinking here? Share your plan or the move you're considering before I reveal what happened.
I don't know what I'm thinking. I have no idea. So these guys are connected. This back rank is connected. This one's a problem. So I should probably do something about this to avoid them from kind of creeping on me. So I should probably be moving my knight here is what I'm thinking. We'll see how correct that is. Let's try we'll try my new feature here. Oh, microphone access is blocked. Let's see if we can fix that. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't test this feature first. I'm sorry. This feature requires that I be running on an HTTPS connection, blah, 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 blah. This is just running on a local server, so I'm going to have to get back to on that one. Let's see if I can use my function feature here. Hello? No. Oh, it can't hop there because then it's just a hanging piece. There is no good place for that knight. So I'm changing my thought process here. Since that would just be a hanging knight, and I don't like to give away free pieces, I think moving here first so that I can then move here, I think that's probably better. So my knight on D2. Advances to B3. We'll do knight to B3. Sorry. In preparation for my F3. Boy, yeah, it does take a long time typing. Sorry about that. Yeah, I wasn't patient enough. I really didn't think through these moves. I'm also learning that thinking about. Hold on.
I really like that you were thinking about your worst place piece. The knight on d2 is a touch passive, and rerouting it toward a strong central square is exactly the right instinct. One quick thing, though, the move you described knight to b3 followed by knight to d4, and the move that actually landed on the board knight to e4 are two different ideas, so let's make sure your hand follows your plan. With knight to e4, the knight looks active for a moment, but it can be kicked around with f5, and it doesn't address black's real trump, that knight sitting on h5. From there, black is itching to jump into f4, biting at your kingside. Calmer, more useful move was g3. It takes the f4 square away from that offside knight, leaves it stranded on the rim, and gives your bishop and king a healthy structure. For something like g3 bishop to b7 rook to e1 knight, to d7 queen to c2 knight, to c5 you keep a pleasant, flexible edge, while black still has to solve the problem of that awkward knight. Takeaway, before launching your own plan, ask what your opponent is dreaming of. Here it was, knight to f4, and quietly snuff it out first.
Yeah, I've added a nice feature here to the app, which I was finding it hard to follow these moves based on the description. So I've just went ahead and added the ability to, and this will show me more than one line as well. So it's suggesting that I move there, which makes a lot of sense. Because then I can come over here and attack this. But boy, I like that too. Let's see what happens. Okay. So what did I learn on this move? I'm not sure what I learned on this move. I think what I learned on this move was I was right. This one's a problem. And hopping over here wasn't the answer. So this is a problem. Instead of preparing to move here, I should prepare, kind of to move here. Yeah, this is very difficult to really know how I'm going to replicate this moving forward. Kind of like what's the principle that I'm following here and how do I apply that principle in a future game? One thing I do not do well and I need to do better is I allow them to get these pieces. This one's on the edge, so it's not great, but I don't know. Once it comes here, it would be super annoying. So yes, okay, pushing this piece prevents its next move. Okay, I can do that, yes. So I need to think about where their next move is. And in this case, their next move was here. And by moving this piece, I prevent it from moving there. That I get that. Okay, so let's move forward here. Annoying.
Right key moment, move 12 is white. What are you thinking here? Share your plan or the move you're considering before I reveal what happened.
Aggressive. That's what I need to be. I think I take the queen. And they respond, and I think I come right back at that piece with this one because that knight is looking at a back rank check. So what would happen there? Let's take a look. So if I explore that, So if I take, they will have to take. And then if I take, or if I move here, then they'll just connect their little guys. But I think that's okay, because then I could go here. And now I'm attacking their knight. I don't know. Let's see what it says. Let's put swap queens. I'll get this fixed, and we'll have my reader working for me to make this process a little more tolerable.
Get the instinct queens come off, things feel safer and similar. But trading isn't automatically good, especially when the position is just about balanced, and you actually hold a small initiative. After 12. Queen takes d8, rook takes d8, you've handed black a free tempo. His rook lands actually on d8, and the position immediately becomes easier for him, not you. Your pieces are nicely poised, the knight on e4 is a beauty, your bishop and rooks are ready to swing, so this was a moment to keep the tension and keep pressing, not to liquidate. A move like 12. Queen to c2 keeps your queen flexible, supports the e4 knight, and prepares to bring both rooks to the center with rook from f to e1, and rook from a to d1. Notice too that black's knight is stuck on the rim at h5. That's a long-term target you give up the chance to exploit when you simplify. Takeaway, don't rush to trade when you're the side with the more harmonious setup. Improve your pieces and make your opponent solve problems first.
Okay, that was a lesson learned there. Moving forward, I did take.
At a key moment, move 13 is white. What are you thinking here? Share your plan or the move
I'm going to turn off speaking. I'll turn it on when she comes back to actually speak, because we don't have to keep hearing that prompt. I like this pawn. Because when I look at all the moves, obviously this one can't move. This one, sure, maybe, but it's in a pretty good spot there. It's controlling a lot of squares. It is vulnerable, though. This is actually, let me change my mind here a little bit. This one is hanging. So maybe a move like this, but then they'll just kick it. So maybe a move like this. And then this. I mean, this one's defending here, but I don't really like where she's at unless she's attacking there. Yeah, I'm going to do that one. I'm going to say knight to c3. And so I turn the reader off, and this will let me have natural conversation. And then when she's done posting it, I can just read that one prompt. I do not like that bishop that coming down the line there. Be nice to trade that off, get rid of it. See what she says.
I like that you were looking for an active, improving idea here rather than drifting. That instinct is good. But the knight you sent to g5 with knight from e to g5 had only just arrived on e4, and now it gets shooed away the moment black plays, h6. That costs you time and lands the knight back where it started, which is exactly what you can't afford when the position is already a bit uncomfortable for you. There's no real threat on f7 or e6 to justify the trip, so it ends up as a tempo handed to your opponent. A more useful plan was to bring your sleeping rook into the game with rook from a to d1, grabbing the open file and pointing pressure straight at black's center. For something like rook from a to d1 knight to d7 bishop to d3 knight to f4 rook from f to e1 h6, you've got both rooks working and your pieces coordinated, instead of chasing your own knight around. A lesson to carry forward: When you're under a little pressure, fix your least active piece that a one rook rather than rerouting a piece you just developed.
Okay, sounds good. How hard can that be? What am I looking at here? I mean, keep these guys protecting. He's about to get kicked, but he's fine now. Maybe push this pawn up here. I don't know. Seems pretty reasonable, right?
I like that you were looking for constructive plan. b3 to shore up the c4 pawn, and give your light-squared bishop a long diagonal is a very reasonable instinct. But notice that the move you actually played, bishop to d1, does something quite different. It pulls that bishop backward into a passive corner, taking it off the active e2 square where it was at least eyeing the queen side. The real headache in this position is that bold knight on f4 sitting right outside your king. Rather than retreating, you want to challenge it. The cleaner idea was knight to h3, offering to trade off black's annoying f4 knight.
This is a lesson learned
For knight
for
takes
me.
e2, check rook takes e2, you've simplified the most active enemy piece away, and you can even reroute with knight from h to g5 to start poking at black's king side. A lesson to carry forward: when a piece is already developed, don't shuffle it backward, instead deal with your opponent's most active piece head on.
That is it. That is a big lesson for me. I don't get pushy enough. When this piece comes in here, I cannot let it sit here. I have to chase it out. Oh, got it. Gotta protect that rook. I mean, I don't like this position. I'm down. It is as bad as it feels. I gotta protect this guy. So maybe come up, and then I'm kind of flirting with squirting over here to attack or attacking here. Yeah, I think I like that rook coming forward. Why is that? Rook to e3. On the good side, at least I guess I'm attacking that knight. Says.
I really like that your instinct pointed you to rook to e3. That was exactly the right idea. Tucking the rook back to e3 keeps it safe and flexible, supporting the king side, while you reroute the f3 knight to e4, with ideas like knight to e4, hitting the loose knight on f4. Trouble is that on the board the rook landed on e4 instead, and that's a very different story. On e4, the rook sits right in the line of fire, black can simply harass it with knight to d5 or generally uses active knights to gain tempo, and that hands the initiative straight back to him, in a position that's already uncomfortable for you. The lesson here is a small but important one. Before committing the rook, ask where your opponent can hit it. Rook to e3 sits behind your own pawns untouched. Rook to e4 sits out in the open. Trust that rook to e3 thought next time. It was the correct one.
Sense. I don't know. Feels like that might be something other that they would just move here. Let's take a look. So if I moved here, they would just move here. Doesn't really do anything. Doesn't really lead me anywhere. Then they just hang out there. I guess technically I could do this. And then they would do this. Oh, and then I could do this. Yeah, this is good. This is annoying. I like this. And I can, give him one of these. Funny business. We're looking at rook to h4.
I really like the spirit behind rook to h4. You spotted the attacking battery against h7 with your knight on g5 and the bishop on c2, and you wanted to throw the rook into the fire. That aggressive instinct is exactly right when you sense your pieces are pointing at the enemy king. The trouble is the exact square. On h4, the rook becomes a target, after a quiet. h6, if you go in with knight takes f7, the knight gets recaptured, and then h takes g5 simply wins your stranded rook, because nothing on h4 is protected. So the attack fizzles and your opponent grabs the initiative. The cleaner way to keep the pressure was rook to f4. It does the same job of swinging the rook toward the king side, but it also supports the knight takes f7 break. After rook to f4 h6 knight takes f7. Rook covers the knight, and the lines crash open around black's king instead of yours. Same idea, but with your pieces working together rather than one of them hanging out to dry. Takeaway, before committing a rook to the attack, ask which square lets it both threaten and stay supported.
Is on h4. Let's go back. Um, maybe I'm missing something. Bishop on c2. Trouble is the exact one. On h4, the rook becomes the target. After a quiet h6. Yep. You go in with knight to f7. See, this is what I don't get. Like, it's saying I would jump in here, but I would simply slide over here. But it wanted me to slide there in the first place, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay. We'll keep moving. Dude, that's what I said before. We'll see how flawed my thinking is here. So I'm thinking bishop to h7, but I didn't do that. Sometimes. see what she says.
Here's the great news first. Your instinct was spot on. You were eyeing bishop to h7, check, and that really is the move the position is calling for. Trouble is that your hand played h3 instead, which is a quiet, passive pawn move, at exactly the moment the position demanded action.
My hand in my head.
Remember, your knight on g5 is being attacked by the h6 pawn, so you don't have time to drift. h3 just lets black grab the knight with h takes g5, and your initiative evaporates. Trust that calculation you'd already done. Bishop to h7, check, you check the king, drag it to f8 where it loses the right to castle and gets in its own way, and only then reposition with rook to f4, keeping all your attacking pieces coordinated. Bishop to h7, check, king to f8, rook to f4, h takes g5, knight takes g5, knight takes e5. Position is still a tough fight, but that's the energetic, fighting path, far better than handing back a piece for nothing. The takeaway: when you've found a forcing, active idea, play it before you reach for safe little pawn move.
Still got the fork right there. So many things could have gone differently, but they didn't. Okay, look at that. Isn't that interesting? Back at a even assessment here. I'm thinking free piece. Why wouldn't I have taken? Oh, what? Oh, because I didn't want my knight to just be taken. So you can see here, I've got two lines on the app now. I've got win the loose knight, show why knight to f7 fails. Oh, wah, wah, wah.
I love that you were on the lookout for free material. That hunting instinct is exactly the right attitude in a sharp position like this. The trouble is that the f7 pawn isn't actually loose. It's guarded by the king on g8. After 21. Knight takes f7, black just replies king takes f7, and you've handed over a healthy knight for a single pawn. Looks like a fork because the knight touches the d8 rook, but since the king defends f7, your opponent simply captures and comes out ahead.
Doesn't look like a fork.
The good news is that there really was free piece on offer. You just had the right idea aimed at the wrong square. Notice that the knight on c4 is hanging. The clean way to collect it is 21.
That's what I want to do. I got
Bishop
you.
to h7, check first. After king to f8, your bishop steps out of any trouble with check,
Oh,
and then rook
too
takes
long.
c4 swoops up the loose knight. Even if black grabs your g5 knight with h takes g5, you keep things comfortably in hand with bishop to e4. The takeaway: before grabbing a pawn, always ask what recaptures. And scan for your opponent's undefended pieces, because here c4 was the real prize.
A lot of times it's like just, a move can be so dramatic. Oh, I like this. This is good. Back to an even game. Oh, that's where I got a little scared. Oh. Yeah, I get lost here. So, I don't know. I should probably check him, I guess. Maybe come down here and just kind of like protect and scoop up pieces. That's probably the best move. Probably rook to c5. Oh, I guess, but yes, maybe no. He just takes my rook. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I didn't, I guess I didn't want to protect them.
It's interesting, your instinct was actually spot on. You said rook to c5, and that's exactly the move the position was calling for.
Yeah,
Centralizing with rook to c5 keeps both your rooks active, eyes the a5 pawn, and keeps everything coordinated. The position was about level there, and rook to c5 holds it comfortably while gently pressing. Trouble is the move that actually hit the board, e6, instead of the rook move you were picturing. Pushing the pawn looks tempting because it pokes at the rook on f7, but it forgets about your own rook on g6, it's left hanging.
yeah,
Black simply grabs it with rook takes g6, and since your f7 target has run away, you can't make up for loss. That drops a whole rook for almost nothing, and turns a balanced fight into a lost one.
yeah. This was
The lesson
good.
here, before pushing a pawn for small threat, double check that none of your own pieces are left undefended. A quick wit as my opponent's reply would have shown the rook on g6 falling. Trust that good instinct of yours next time, and play the move you actually saw, rook to c5.
Yeah, I'm toast. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. Well, we're going to turn her off for now, so I think I can skip training. She's probably going to want to finish her thinking. Ugly. Okay. This was actually good. What did I learn in this game? So I learned a couple things. This one here was massive, where I had I like this because I'm threatening to put them not really out of commission, but just be annoying. Go here, then they would go here, then I would go here. So that would be fine. So in this move here, they had one move, and I knew that's the move they were going to take. So what did I learn? I learned don't push. Like that, there was no value to this, and I ignored my hanging rook. So what I learned, don't leave pieces hanging. Yeah, don't leave pieces hanging. And then the other thing I learned is I have to get way more aggressive when their knight comes lurking into my territory. And I need to think about how to kick that knight out. So 3 things from today. Don't bring the queen out. That was a tip. Thank you on that one. Or don't bring the queen out. Don't activate her unnecessarily too early. Number 2 is attack those lurking pieces that are making their way onto my property. And don't leave your bishop hanging on the 7th rank. I don't know. All right, let's play a game. See what happens. I don't know what's happening. Okay. What do I want? I think I want this one out because it opens up. I can really attack this the out. And I learned this the other day. This was pretty cool. So like I'm getting the scholar's mate funny business here. I got a couple moves. I can move here because then I add another defender. Or I can move here. I cannot move here because that does not help anything. But I could also block this bishop. I could push up here. So I could come here, taking this one out. I could come here attacking the queen, which, geez, who doesn't like to attack the queen? Unfortunately, when I do that, it weakens my kingside castle, which is what I was leaning towards. Yeah, let's go ahead and just bring her up. Here we go. I like this. And then I'll come out and attack and develop with tempo. She's going to go back. This is to the point I learned on my from the comments. Like, don't bring the queen out early. She's just going to get harassed, and now they're just letting me develop my. Look at this. They're just going to let me develop my pieces out onto the board. And now I'm taking this bishop if I so choose. And they really cannot come defend the bishop. No, they cannot. So I'm going to get a free bishop on this one. Num 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 num. And now they want to attack this piece, but I don't want them to attack that piece. This gets very risky. I mean, this queen is now trapped over here, and I got nothing but pieces. All right, we'll take that. Look at that. Got some good advice. Thank you again for the tip on not bringing the queen out too early. That was awesome. Forcing me in to take that one. Didn't want to do that. Funny. Mm. About 14 points. Okay, what to do with this? I think right now, my king's in the middle, but I'm going to attack. So they've got two defenders here. We're going to go ahead and expose. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Never mind. We're going to be annoying. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Oof. Oof. That hurts. I think it is time to get active. Boy, this got ugly. Always a problem, that king starts to come out and you just like, you got nowhere to go, nowhere to be. All right, let's see how I did. $89.2. That's good. 1,700. I got my best game the other day. I got an 1,800. For whatever that's worth. So thanks for joining me today. I said this last time. This is gonna take a lot of work. So I'm gonna have to do a lot more, study, if you will, and patience in these games to get my score up. So thanks for joining me, and see you next time.